Hey guys, this is gonna be the third part of the Void Rift run, at least for the Laseer rotation. And for this one, I'll be honest, I recorded this and I was just so exhausted from real life and all of that stuff that I just decided I would auto the entire thing. It's a lot less work on me, it's a lot easier to do, and so just bear with me here, please. Sorry about that, but it's all I could do. Anyways, though, um, we're just gonna go into it. First of all, some really good options for this phase are anything with true damage or damage penetration, defense ignore, stuff like that. So obviously the best thing to use is Silas if you have him. He does not need to be bonded, he works fine. Vieirna is great because for execute you could use Nocturne, Praetus, Alistair, anything with true damage. There's lots of true damage options now, like Falcia. Falcia's not that great for this phase, I'll be honest, but she is an option. And then there's probably some other options, like I guess Uridin. Anyways, I will give some tips. Like first of all, you want to put a fighter there, but I put my Wrath for this stage, just to kind of block the wolves, because otherwise they will overrun your block and you will lose. A very important thing to know about this phase is very regularly your block will get capped, especially by the stone enemies, so if you don't clear them properly or you don't place multiple ground units, you will actually lose, so you really have to keep that in mind. Just a heads up. Also, I will kind of just be going through it. I'll give tips where I can or like advice, but a lot of these stages are nothing stages. They're like this is by far the easiest phase outside of the boss. I will say Laseer is actually kind of difficult, but the rest of the stages are so easy that like if you've made it through the first phase of this rotation, which is by far the hardest one, there's no way you're gonna be able to there's no way that you're generally gonna struggle in this phase, is what I mean. This is pretty easy. Once again, on this stage, you just gotta place them in a way where you're able to kill the flying enemies before they get past. I do use Silas for that, but you know, it's fine. You could use anything. I place Wrath where I place Wrath, purely to block the dogs, because you have to be very mindful of your block, which is something I will keep talking about for this phase over and over, because it is very important to know. That's really the main tip I have. Um, and just putting multiple ground units does a great job. Also, I really like Arrogance for the left there, just because, as you can see, he kind of deletes everything from existence. And on the right, Silas is putting in work, so we're all good. Also, I will say Boreas is probably the best option for a lot of these stages outside of the answers to the stone guys, purely because Boreas does so much damage that in his ult he'll just hit things and they won't even turn to stone, they'll just die instantly, because they the minions turn into stone based on their amount of HP, and if you ignore that and just deal that amount of HP like in one hit, they won't turn to stone, they'll just instantly die, and it's so funny to see. I'm not sure if I show that off at all at any point, but whatever. Also, this is the hardest boss stage in this rotation. I mean, not rotation, in this phase. So, just be careful. I don't really find it too hard, but it can be hard for some, so just be careful. Also, the slimes have extra HP, so that's a very tough modifier. I really hate the extra HP modifiers, but we should be okay. I do use Boreas for the stage purely because he can actually hit the mage behind him, and it's just very nice to have to deal with less slimes. But my advice for this stage is purely just put 2 ground units where I put my ground units, and you could also put 1 more ground unit to the top left of Arrogance, kind of in the middle there, just to help manage their block. But I have Vieirna, Boreas, Silas, so I'm completely fine. I don't need to do that. And then on the right, I like to have a healer and a melee. I do like Falcia because occasionally she has true damage, but honestly, she's a pretty bad option for this. I could probably just use Wrath, and maybe not even have a healer with Wrath, because he will heal himself at A5, which everyone should have him at A5. Around day 44, you should be able to get him A5, because you get a second copy, and you should soulstone him up to there. Just a tip for you guys. I'm also making a new account on Forerunner, so if you guys want any early game content of like how to do certain things, or like some quick advice for beginners, stuff like that, I can definitely get that out for you guys. But anyways, I say but anyways so much, sorry, but we're just gonna clear the stage pretty easily. It's once again this rotation. I mean, this I can't say words today. This phase is super easy until the boss. And we're about to get to the boss actually, because it's pretty short. I will say that the Torador one is easier when you're later game, but I will say the Torador one can be difficult early on. I should have some early game Void Rift content when I get there on my alt account, but that might be a little bit in the future. Anyways, I'm just gonna leave this sort of fight in just so I could talk, because I think it's fun. Anyways, I like to put 3 melee units down just to help block everything, and then Boreas and Vienna are our main AoE DPS. I could use like Greed instead or something, but these are just what I have. And then I use Silas for some damage on the boss, and Hex as well. I also have Venoma in there because I like Venoma. Venoma's cool. I'm definitely a fan of Venoma. I've spent only $30 on the game, and I got Venoma out of them, so I would say it's definitely money well spent, at least for me. Just make sure that you don't overspend. Also, I have, I might actually spend a little bit for the Vierna skin. They're just coming very soon. I have a ton of leaks for you guys. There should be a video being uploaded maybe like an hour or two, or maybe a couple hours actually, after this video. So if you are at this point, which I don't think anyone will be because I'm not expecting this video to get views, this is just here to help anyone who might need it, and also just for fun. If anyone is seeing this part before that video is uploaded, just know that it is coming in the future. Anyways, we get to Laseer. We all know the Laseer fight if you have gone through Void Rift. It's very, very hard fight. Definitely a lot of legendaries are being used for obvious reasons, and I know it can be a lot more difficult than most stages in the game. I used to think this was the hardest stage in the game until I discovered some that absolutely were much harder, but it's fine. So this is the team that I use. I do use Boreas, I do use Silas. You do not need either or. I'm just going to go over how I think it's best to do it. So what you want to do first, at least for Nightmare, if you have high boss damage. Also, one more thing is the modifiers. You want to try to burst down the Seer when they have an attack modifier, because then they will do way too much damage, and also they will take less damage than the weaks where they have damage reduction modifiers or higher HP. When it's that case, you want to try to tank them a little bit more, but it's not important. Anyways, Boreas is for the right side, he's for the mages, he's for the minions right there, where Olog is blocking. I like Olog there purely because he will never die, and then I like putting Vortex where he is right now, so that he can heal the tank that I will be using to block Laseer's placement, or block where Laseer is going to move, and just gonna work out, trust me. Anyways, I also like placing Arrogance there. You could use any long range fighter. I like Arrogance purely because he's my only long range fighter, apart from Absent, but Absent doesn't count. And then I put Abomination there. Those two are just for slightly extra boss damage. Abomination doesn't do too much, so you could definitely replace him. He's mostly to help with the slimes later on. I just had an extra slot, but it's whatever. Anyways, Silas ult with Dolores should be good enough to clear it. There are a lot of options you could use. You could use Cetrum, you could use Hex, you could use Praetus, you could use Silas. Silas does not need to be bonded. He just won't kill it as fast as I kill it there. You could use any ground units, any fighters. You could use like Sulkadins. You could use probably Imani. Just try your best, tweak it, figure out what works, and just go with that. Just remember that unyielding tanks are really good to block Laseer's path, purely because they just don't die. So, it's just good to keep in mind. But just remember that you can tank them if you need to, or you can just burst them down. That's the two best ways to deal with the boss. I'm really hoping I can get Zilla 2 eventually so I could one-shot the Laseer boss. I think that would be super funny. Because Twin Fiend Zilla 2, I'm pretty sure can just instantly kill them. It's one of the best combos in the game of units, but whatever. Also, for this fight, if you're looking where Olag is, that those groups of enemies can get a little bit scary because the minions will keep coming over and over, and they will clog up Olag's block, and you can actually lose just off of that. Boreas will be hitting it periodically, but it's not really going to be enough. It will be scary, so you just have to be mindful of that, maybe swap things around a little bit. I just didn't really in this run because I was bored. Well, I wasn't bored, I was just being lazy. But I'm gonna say I was bored, so I don't have to admit that I'm a lazy person. Anyways, mages die again. Pretty simple stuff. I have a setup near the front where all the slimes will go, which basically makes it so that I will never leak. Since I have to go through 3 ground units and a Silas with Dolores next to him, it's a good time. Anyways, that's pretty much the stage cleared, and that's Voidrift for you. Nightmare Voidrift. Obviously, if you're not as far in as I am, your gear isn't as good, your characters aren't as good. There are a lot of ways around it, but for this phase, there's not really much I could tell you guys. I do have a Laseer guide on my channel, so if you guys want to watch that for a little bit more of an in-depth walkthrough on how to beat this boss, feel free to check that out. And yeah. I mean, that's about it. I don't really have much more to add. I will admit this is my second time doing a voiceover because I had issues with the audio before. So sorry if I'm missing a couple gaps. I'm just very tired right now. Anyways, we get a terrible artifact, and that's about it.